Oh, great. He's at it again. Well, hey there, freaks and sickos. Hey there, freaks and sickos. I'm your host, Clark Macbeth, and I would just like to make a few apologies to start this. They have nothing to do with personal grudges or the stalkers that continue to hold them. I would very much encourage you to keep up with that act in your sad, miserable, and pathetic lives because I know you are all into this shit. So, Steven Crowder likes to do this. He likes to make a table with an inflammatory statement that is absurd, and the reason he does this is because he wants to use other people who know better, to promote his position for him. This is the same exact tactic that was used by Charlie Kirk, and may he rot in hell, of course. There was a whole South Park episode that is still up and running. But first, the apologies. I would like to apologize for looking and sounding like, and even having a shirt that kind of looks like a very sanitized edition of the entire shirt wardrobe of DistroTube. And I would also like to apologize for watching him from time to time. Except no, I don't. I don't watch DistroTube for politics, and that's how I can justify watching that and looking like this. Even though it's a total accident and some kind of fate. I have a strep throat, so I kind of sound like him now. If I dial up the southern accent a little bit, because I did live in Georgia for 10 years, I do know what a real southern accent sounds like. I do know this is different from Savannah, Georgia. And you'll notice when I said Georgia, that's not how District Tube would say it. I know my South, but I also know, like, Minnesota, because I've always had family here. Anyway, this is Steven Crowder. And this tactic has worked so well that, for the most part, people are advised to just not walk up to these, to not say, to not try and put their confidence in their counterpoint to the test, because the point of this is to not have a good faith discussion at all. It is to promote a perspective that is wildly out of the mainstream. Even in Oklahoma, at the University of Oklahoma, where he did this, wildly out of the mainstream. All SNAP benefits? No, we just want to do that for the colored folk. Us guys who look exactly like this, we earn this because we feel like it. And that's the kind of nuttery that Steven Crowder pushed and continues to push, and it is the kind of nuttery that Charlie Kirk pushed and can't do anymore because he's dead. Although I would prefer that he would be alive to see everything he worked for fall apart. That was going to happen anyway. I would love to hear Charlie Kirk's take on what's happening with Epstein, and now we have this from Steven Crowder, and yeah, my second monitor with this is over here. Another apology from the state of Minnesota. Y'all know that's sincere. And, that is one way to do that, and if enough students decide not to walk up to this, knowing that the whole point is for Steven Crowder to market this dogshit opinion through you, that would be fine. But unfortunately, he just needed one person to make the video, and that's basically what he got. That's not nearly as effective as a strategy as, and I dare him to do this. I hope this does make it onto his feed. I dare Steven Crowder to have this set up at the U of M. The University of Minnesota. I know he is such a brave, masculine alpha warrior and would find no issue with setting up these stands at the University of Minnesota. He did it for the University of Oklahoma and had to walk through a lot of guys that look like me right now. My haircut is just because I forgot to convert a brawn 3 and a wall 3. A wall 3 would have I would have shorter hair, but not I would not look exactly like DistroTube right now. But I digress. I know that Steven Crowder is capable of doing that, and that he wouldn't really need any security either. Just like he wouldn't have needed security. He didn't need security at the University of Oklahoma. He won't need it. I know he has the tough bravado machismo to do that. And you know what? I exposed his playbook, so I know how to end this. I know how we can move on from this nuttery as a society. And one of the biggest things that are working right now is the protests. I know it doesn't seem like that in America and especially outside of it, but the protests and the joy that these occasions bring, doesn't even feel like a protest. It's like a bunch of happy people getting together being like, yeah, fuck Donald Trump. It would not surprise me at all if the next one had Green in it, had Representative Green going to that, like, or like someone working for her and being like, okay, what do you want and how can I market that for my Republican campaign that is also anti-Trump? The people at the No Kings protests are some of the happiest people you will ever meet, and the people counter-protesting are always miserable, sad sacks of shit like my opponent, Warren Limmer, in the Minnesota State Senate. Oh, I mean, I'm also an inspiration too, apparently, since there is a federal House candidate that is also going to be a furry. And I will be making a video on that, but you know what also would be a great video? Me taking this down or just explaining to anyone where these things can be set up. Every college student and everyone who lives in a college town, hey, how can we end this? Well, you'll notice that the big text here, the end all SNAP benefits over here, is in the big text, and it's even bigger than before. His previous Change My Mind stands, the one that said male privilege. Let me see if I can pull it up here, by the way. I'm also really starting to hate the name Steven. Like, you know Steve from Blue's Clues is a V. You know that Steve in Stephen Miller is also a V, but Stephen Miller is a P, but Steven Crowder is V. I just don't like the name much anymore. Steven. Okay, you know what? I stand corrected. Yeah, it is the same difference in the size of the font here as here. It's even more difficult to read the Change My Mind on the bottom because it's taking up an entire COSCO without the T table, plastic table, and it's one of the big ones you can get at Walmart. So right off the bat, he wants everyone approaching the desk to focus on the top part of the text. But the very fact that anyone is in college or can live near a college campus already means you're smarter and can see past the rube. Like, the bottom part of the text, Change My Mind, is about as real as it is in the Roberts Court. He is not there to be challenged at all, and anyone with half a brain, unfortunately, not including the person who approached him, but at this point in his career, he's probably so successful that he could pay a straw woman to debate, even though it's completely fake. If you want to ruin this, if you want to ruin this in a way that you film and just completely emasculates him, just focus on the Change My Mind aspect. Because this really is just like the John Roberts kangaroo Supreme Court of the United States. He's not listening at all. He's just using you as something to shout his opinion in front of and defend his opinion in front of. and he has his pre-compiled talking points ready to go. Most of these talking points are bullshit, and he's counting on you not checking. Like, he will claim that because of SNAP benefits, food prices are artificially high, and there might be a real case that was a factor in inflation under Biden. I'm not denying that at all. But those benefits are over, and if you got rid of all of SNAP, the entire economy would snap, and no one really deserves that except Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, who also deserves a basilisk coming his way. Like a real, actual, benevolent AI would punish him first and his accomplices second and no one else. If you know, you know. He wants you to debate the top and not the bottom. And it's not really a debate, it's just him saying things and then presenting it on YouTube as I'm smart, you're dumb. Also, I edited this in a way in which I look smart and you look dumb, and this is definitely not the entire conversation. He's doing the exact same thing as Charlie Kirk did. So, if I see this at the University of Minnesota, if I see this anywhere, the first thing I'm going to do is walk up to that table, and everyone else should do this as well, and ask, what would it take to change your mind? Like, ignore the first thing completely and turn it into a debate about epistemics. He will crumble. And so would Charlie Kirk. Again, may he rot and burn in hell. All of this is a confidence trick, okay? And that confidence can only be broken when you expose the confidence they have. And expose the entire growth by just focusing on that bottom part. What would it take to change your mind, Stephen? What is the bar for changing your mind? I would like to know this up front just to make sure we're having the good faith discussion that you claim to be having. And that alone would probably trip him up a lot. But you can keep going too. Like, okay, if I have peer review, is that as good as whatever Heritage Foundation thing you pulled out of your ass? You must use different words here, but like, is this as good as an advocacy group? Is peer review as good as an advocacy group? Why should we trust this over this? And just watch this entire grift crumble permanently as it should have 10 fucking years ago. Because in reality, there is no bar. He has his predetermined conclusion before the hearing, just like the majority of the Roberts Court, just like especially Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito. They're not listening at all. They're just there to spout their own vision that is completely incompatible with America itself. And I mean, if you want my real opinion on SNAP benefits, I know there is a way we can do a basic income in a responsible manner. And that's really the solution here, to have a basic income that covers the basics for everyone, and that's it, that to replace SNAP with that. That way no one feels excluded. It doesn't seem like a racialized thing. Everyone has a benefit, and it works more like a negative income tax than something that's universal. Like, if you are in poverty, then you will probably get more of it than, you know what? That's all stuff that isn't going to be easily passed tomorrow. You know what would really help with grocery prices? You know what would really help with the cost of living? It would be having more competition in the marketplace. But this dipshit is definitely opposed to that, but would cheekily bring it up to defend the very nepotism that he needs to be doing this pointless, non-productive bullshit. Why do I need to bring up a valid point on anything if you're not willing to sit down and have a valid discussion where both of us are capable of changing our minds if the evidence is good enough? That's not what you're doing, Stephen. We all know this now. We all know this is just some confidence trick that has worked for way too long, and it's finally time to start asking, what would it take, Stephen? What would it take? Ben Shapiro and every one of you freaks, what would it really take to change your mind? Do you have any standard for that? Or are you just like the kangaroo Supreme Court that just ignores the Constitution and makes up rules on its own while pretending that it's not through sophistry, wordfare, and, yes, treason? I am saying that I would say that to John Roberts' face if I was able to. And you know what? Because of that, I'm just gonna, here, let me give this a big glow up just so you can see it here. Judges must disclose all finances and comms or be debenched in Minnesota, state, and federal. Change my mind. You know what? And unlike this freak, if you can think of a better solution, something that could be passed and implemented in any state tomorrow because of how urgent the situation is at the Supreme Court and just how treasonous they've been acting lately, saying to Biden, "Oh, you have to answer our major question," but to Trump, "You get to act like a king." Yeah, that's treason against the United States. I'm just going to say that. I would say that to John Roberts' face. I'd say that to the entire Supreme Court in front of them. If I had a case in front of them, I would do that, even though my lawyer would tell me not to. That's how fed up I am with all of this bad faith uh, drudgery. And all SNAP benefits, come on. That's not going to happen. The very people bribing the Supreme Court do not want to end SNAP because it lets them pay very bad wages, and the real answer is more competition in the grocery marketplace with SNAP or with a basic income. But because you're presenting a discussion like this, I'm just going to do an Uno reverse card and keep asking you, what would it take to change your mind? What is the standard? And either he's going to flounder or he's going to expect me to not have my own evidence, my own peer-reviewed evidence, or to look at his evidence and call that out. It's a lose-lose situation for all of this shit, and it needs to happen. It needs to start now. And if these tables stop being put up because of the very advice I gave, if it leads to more good faith discussions among our fellow Americans, possibly including myself and DistroTube, for all I care, so be it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how hard you worked. I don't care what branch of the military you were in. And my military friend can attest to that too. Military friends, to be honest. I am a furry, so there's a lot of us in that. This amount of stubbornness is not a flex. It makes you look weak and pathetic and makes you look like a drain on society. More so than anyone I have ever met on Snap. And don't you forget it. Most of the people on Snap work harder than you anyway. I would know. When I think of a man who doesn't work and has everything handed to him, it's not anyone with a complexion any darker than mine. And that is with this really bright light thing on, by the way. It and also Steven Crowder is in the shade. It's not. It's not. It's. It. Look, most of you get the point, but it's people who don't get the point and cherry pick what I just said in the comments section in bad faith. It's people like Steven Crowder. When I think of useless man who does not work and has everything handed to him. I'm thinking of Steven Crowder. I'm thinking of Elon Musk. I'm thinking of Peter Thiel, the PayPal Mafia, tech grifters, most tech CEOs, and even most tech startup. You know, the people who willfully, knowingly put out shit product while making bold promises that they absolutely cannot deliver on, like the flock cameras, like all of Tesla now. That's been the real enemy, and it always was. Now, because YouTube is a perfect meritocracy in which the algorithm will promote quality content that keeps the public as informed as possible, there's no need for you to like this video or subscribe or anything like that, but I would encourage you to do it anyway. And if it wants to prove me different, it can change my mind. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, where I will be discussing what could be the first open furry in federal Congress. Like, I'm just trying to set up a state Senate campaign, and here is some guy in Michigan going, oh, you know what, I'm going to go one step further and try for Congress in Michigan 7. That's going to be fun. And if you want to see that one, then it is important. Then, as always, subscribe if you like, and share if you care.